Welcome to Eternal Rambles with Eternals Ramble Eternally. My name is Aaron.
And I'm Kodig.
And today we're going to be talking about probably a more narrow topic than previous entries, because Cartoon Network, Disney, Marvel, these are all really broad topics. There's just a lot of sources you can pull from on them. Today, more narrow, more focused, you're talking about Saints Row.
You know what we forgot to do?
What would you forget to do?
We forgot to hang up the blankets.
Well, that's not really necessary for this.
This is staying in.
It's whatever. Well, it's because we don't know because how far we are from the walls. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll find out.
It'll still be better audio than the other one.
Yeah. So there are 6 Saints Row games technically.
5.
No, there's 6. Technically, there's 7.
What?
But the 7th one never actually it never actually released. So.
2, 3, 4.
Get Out of Hell.
Get Out of Hell.
And then the new Saints Row.
Oh yeah.
And there was other ones that were planned on I think portable or something like that. But it never actually released.
Yeah.
So we've played the Saints Row games way out of order. We've probably already talked about this before.
Yes.
But the first game I played was 4. Because when that released, there's a lot of marketing behind it. People oh, let's play Saints Row. The game's it's really fun. And then I played the second one. Not because I bought it, but no. I had access to the early version, Game Pass, where you had old PlayStation had you could stream games.
Oh yeah, PS Now.
Yeah, PS Now. Yeah.
Wow, you had PS Now?
I did a free trial to play Saints Row 2.
Oh.
I didn't actually purchase it.
Okay.
And the quality was terrible, but of course that was back before my consoles were hardlined, so I was doing Wi-Fi with the Wi-Fi router downstairs.
Oh man.
So the game was so slow, I just activated the cheat codes infinite ammo and cannot die, because I wasn't trying to play that game legitimate when it was 15 frames a second. Then I played 3, the original 3. Then I played 1 after Kodig and I moved in together. It's let's buy an Xbox. We can play all those Xbox games.
That story was so crazy. So it was I'm literally starting my collection.
Huh.
And then I go up to Aaron and I'm just man, I kind of want to play the Saints Row games, but I want to play them in order because I had gotten maybe 15% of the way through Saints Row 4. And I was like, well, how about we go buy an Xbox? And then Aaron was like, yeah. And I was like, what?
You don't do this kind of thing.
Yeah,
Who are you?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, who are you and what have you done with Aaron?
Well, it's just because at the time I had the money, so I was like, yeah, I'll buy it because it was you and Ryan were talking about wanting an Xbox.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And you're like, what? It's yeah, I want to play the original Saints Row.
Yeah, so because we found out that the original Saints Row was backwards compatible, so we're getting an Xbox One.
Yeah,
because fuck getting a 360.
The original Saints Row was Xbox exclusive, and it was backwards compatible on the Xbox One.
Yeah, exactly. So we bought an Xbox. We went and bought an Xbox One back when there was no Xbox Ones anywhere.
Yeah, we
bought it from Best Buy.
Yeah,
it was
the
2K edition.
Yes, NBA 2K thing is whatever, man.
Yeah,
it's exactly. An Xbox. We can get it today.
It's an Xbox, which is hilarious because that Xbox doesn't work anymore.
Well, yeah.
For now. I'm going to get it fixed, but, I did end up buying Aaron out of his...
There was 2 games I wanted to play.
You wanted to play Saints Row
and then Sunset Overdrive. I was so
yeah.
disappointed by the game. It was so bad.
Yeah, unfortunate. I ended up buying that copy of Sunset Overdrive off Aaron because he was just
well, you bought the copy and the console off me.
Yeah, because I ended up... Me and Aaron went in half and half on the Xbox console, but I ended up buying him out of it because,
Well, that was always the plan, was I'll buy the initial fee, but you wanted it for your collection, because the only games I wanted to play was
Saints Row 1, and
yeah, that was it. So I was I'll play these games, and didn't we have to go to
Best Buy, and we had to go 30 miles away. It was insane.
No, it wasn't just Best Buy. It was it was an old game store where we had to go and get a physical copy of the original Saints Row.
Yes, we did.
So we did a whole trip to be able to get the original Saints Row.
And then when we were there, I found Witcher 2. So I bought Witcher 2 for the Xbox. Oh, man, that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, and then after I played the original Saints Row, I played Get Out of Hell. And then eventually when it came out, played the most recent Saints Row game.
Saints Row the 3rd Remastered.
Oh, that's right. So I played Get Out of Hell first, and then Saints Row the 3rd Remastered, and then I played.
Yeah, because you never actually played the 3rd, did you?
No, I played the original 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you play it at? When? Was it before or after 2?
I think I think it was on sale and I got like a digital copy of it or something.
Well, for me, I mean, it was more of a thing of like, because I started, like I said, I got like 15% of the way through Saints Row 4, and then I played Saints Row, and then we did the whole thing where we purchased the Xbox. So I played and beat Saints Row 1, which Aaron still hates me to this day. Yeah, you should see the smile on his face as soon as he heard that.
Yeah, smile. Yeah.
He knows the exact thing I'm about to talk about.
Yep.
There is a mission.
And if you've played the original Saints Row, you probably already guessed what mission. Well, actually, there's 2 missions I could be talking about, but
Yes, but there is a mission where you are being chased by a helicopter, or is it a helicopter?
No, you're driving around an airport trying to stop a plane from taking off.
Yeah.
While every enemy in the airport has an RPG.
Yeah.
And you're trying to shoot the plane with your RPG, preventing it from taking off. And it's like 3 laps around the thing while they're shooting at you with RPGs.
Yep, and you only get like 2-3 shots before they instantly kill you.
Yeah.
And Aaron actually managed to do that entire mission because he thought that the cheat didn't work. Okay. But it turns out I found the the infinite health car cheat or whatever.
Yeah, it was repair vehicle.
Yeah, I found repair vehicle, so I just kept repairing the vehicle.
Yeah, because the cheat website I found did not have repair vehicle. So I thought there was, because I checked like 2 or 3 websites, and I could not find repair vehicle cheat. I was like, fuck. Because it was that mission, and also the mission where like you're running away from the Canales enforcer, where they're just ramming into your car repeatedly. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, so I did that entire game without the repair car cheat, and there's like 2 or 3 missions that just like so irritating without it. Kodak got to that point in the game without, it's like, there's got to be a repair car cheat, and then there was.
Yeah, and then I found it almost instantly, and so Aaron was fuming.
Yeah, that was like, say, like, I love the story of the original Saints Row game. Mechanically, there's a lot of issues. Like, there's certain missions that are just bullshit difficult. It's like that one mission from, like, San Andreas where it's like you're driving a motorcycle and fucking Biggie is the one shooting. It's like, why you drive better? I don't know, Biggie. Why can you shoot better?
Or like that, all you had to do was follow the damn train, CJ.
Yeah, that's the mission I'm talking about.
That was like, on a bike.
Whatever.
On a bicycle.
I don't think, whatever. This mission, it was still shitty AI.
Oh man. And then so after I played Saints Row 2, I did play through Saints Row 1.
Yeah, we tried to get co-op for Saints Row working.
Could not get it.
Couldn't get it to work. And this was like after I'd gotten a physical copy of the game. Both of us had physical copies of the game.
Yeah.
Which your physical copy you bought didn't work, right?
So
you had to get a digital copy. Yeah. Because like I was lucky enough to like I got it old enough. It was long enough back that whenever I bought my copy, I actually got like a Saints Row 2 special edition or whatever, where it came with like the tin and like the bullet thumb drive and like all these different things.
Yeah,
all the DLC and everything included.
Yeah, like the 2 megabyte.
Yeah, 2 megabyte flash drive.
2 megabyte flash drive.
So that was really, I loved that. It was so cool because I still firmly agree. I have the firm opinion that Saints Row 2 is the best game in the series, strictly and exclusively because of its story.
Yeah, no, I'm close to agreement. I prefer 3 specifically, just because of gameplay purposes.
I mean, there's no real reason.
But I think 2 has the better story.
To differentiate between
the
third remake, they're basically the same game, just one's visually better.
If 2 had a remaster,
because everyone wants there to be a remaster. I guess there's some like legal thing that they can't do it or something like that. I don't know. It's the only reason why they wouldn't do it.
Well, Volition no longer exists.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem that we're.
Which means we're never gonna get it, which sucks. Because I wanted it so bad. I was like, I don't know why. Like the only reason they would have done it, in my opinion, why they remastered the third is because the remaster was easier.
Yeah, probably.
It's the only reason.
But they made the third look like the fourth, which are very different games.
And no, it didn't, because the original Saints Row the Third and Saints Row 4 looked very similar visually. Like the upgrade they did to the remake, they don't look at all alike. The textures are way different.
Well, anyways, I played through.
Well, case in point, you can literally you can transport your boss from the third game into the fourth game.
Yeah. Well, I played through the second game, and then I played third remastered, and I still have not beaten 4. or Get Out of Hell.
Well, 4 really
Or
does.
Saints Row.
4 really is best when you've played all the previous games, because like there's so much references and history that it goes over and everything. Like, you got audio logs from characters. You got so many in-game references and things.
I'm like 50% of the way through 4. I have to beat it, and then I have to beat Get Out of Hell, which I know it's not necessarily important.
Well, not with.
I just want to beat it.
Yeah, not with the newest game. Basically, just doing a whole new timeline.
And then the reboot, I thoroughly love the reboot. I still haven't beaten it yet, but I love playing it, and I think it really maintains the. Me and Aaron both are in agreement of this. We don't understand the hate for the Saints Row reboot. Like it is Saints Row. It is everything that a Saints Row game should be.
Dude, the two major complaints I hear from people are, it plays like a PS3 game, which is accurate. It does not push the game the series mechanically forward. It doesn't. But I didn't need it to, because it did classic Saints Row writing and shenanigans. I had fun with it. And other people were like, "Oh, the game is so toothless now because like they changed rim jobs to gym robs, and oh, why are they calling the roommate? Call him Playa." I'm like, why would they call him Playa? These are completely different characters. Like, it's different people.
Yeah, it's a different universe, guys. Like,
I love all the, like, Nina, Kevin, Eli's the least, but like Nina and Kevin are amazing. I love them.
Like, here's the thing: the writing is Saints Row.
Yes, it is.
It is exactly like every other Saints Row. It's got that same like what's the word? It's like
same vibes.
Zany, wacky Saints Row. Like, it's exactly what Saints Row should be. So like, the biggest problem is like, guys, you cannot go higher than I blew up the Earth. Then I had to fight against Satan.
Yeah, I'm the God Emperor of space.
Yeah, like you can't, there's no topping that. That's why they needed the reboot.
Yeah, they needed a new story to reground themselves.
New story,
because that's what they were trying to do. Is they were trying to set up a brand new storyline, but people panned it. And then they got shut down. So we're never gonna get anything out of Saints Row again because people didn't give enough of a chance. The only issue I have with it is that it's a little too short.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like the climax was like the Act 2 finale. I didn't realize that was just be the end of the game. I was like, oh, that's oh.
Yeah.
It left me wanting more.
Yeah, I think that is the biggest problem that I've heard, from you specifically. But I haven't beaten it yet. Where am I at? I'm somewhere. I'm about 50% of the way through the game.
Yeah, I have no idea where you are.
I'm about 50% of the way through the game, from what I can tell. I mean, it is one of those things where, like, Saints Row was always that, like, at the beginning, Saints Row at the start was, like, just a ripoff of Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, it was just a GTA clone.
But even then, even in the first game, you still see those hints of what Saints Row was going to become. Mm-hmm. Which is amazing, because, like, you have that whole thing where, like, Saints Row 1, the character speaks 4 times in the whole game.
It's like the final mission for each of the gangs.
Yeah, for each of the gangs. And then in Saints Row 2, it's like if you decide to make a female boss, because in Saints Row 1, you can only make a male boss.
Which I understand why.
Yeah.
Even though you have, like there's, like, Lynn, she's a primary member of the gang. She's literally your companion for the High Roller. The rich kids with cars. Yeah, because I remember, like, there's the Vice Kings, the Canales, and then those assholes.
Yeah.
And then in 2, you have the Sons of Samdi.
The High Rollers.
Yeah, the Sons of Samdi, the Ronin, and the Brotherhood. the Brotherhood. And then 3, you had the Morning Stars, the Deckers, and the Luchadors. That's all they were called, right? Just Luchadors?
Yeah.
Then 4, obviously, it's just Zinyak, so it's just aliens. And then in Get Out of Hell, like, the antagonists, like, you're claiming territory from different people. I don't know the exact game. I remember, like, you recruit, like, Blackbeard, Vlad the Impaler, the Dwight sisters from 3. They come back. And then William Shakespeare.
That is the thing that I do hate about 4, specifically, is, like, it's like, they really do gloss over, I feel like,
everyone is dead.
The fact that, like, yeah, everyone from every game is dead.
Everyone who is not on, you do not recruit. is
that was the
implied
thing
death.
that I was always found interesting whenever it came to like, you know, like these characters might not show up in future games. Like there's characters from 1 and 2 that aren't in 3. You know, but like you kind of know what's going on with them.
Yeah.
And then it's just, all of that just is kind of just wiped out. And
well, that's one of the things like Get Out of Hell, like it tries to like talk about some of those older things. Like you get to see people in hell, like the Dwight sisters, like Troy.
which interesting,
like
did you know Angel is voiced by fucking Hulk Hogan?
he is?
Yeah, Angel is voiced by Hulk Hogan.
Interesting.
I'm just like, at first I was like, man, that voice sounds very familiar, and then I looked it up. I said, yeah, no, it's Hulk Hogan that voices Angel in Saints Row 3, which is just weird because Angel is a luchador, a Mexican wrestler, and you chose Hulk Hogan, the most American wrestler to America. Like, my guy.
I don't know, man.
That is hilarious. I love it. It's stupid.
I think it works. Like I didn't know that.
I do love Angel in Saints Row though.
Angel's fine.
And then he dies though, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, like yeah, but also I will point out
And the appropriate ending, he dies.
So too many goddamn characters in Saints Row, because like every game they give you like a new like primary crew, like you're gonna talk to this people, this person's associated with this gang, and all these things. And like Saints Row 4 brought back a lot of characters, and then Get Out of Hell brought back even more characters. Some of them had lackluster, like Dex, that whole quest line where it's like, oh, Saints Row 2 DLC, you deal with Dex and he escapes, and he never shows up again, and then it's like, oh, you get to hunt him down in hell. But it's just like you find him randomly, and it's very disappointing because like there's no like final comeuppance. It's just, oh, Johnny just kills him again and again. And
well,
again
still better in GTA. There's no consistency across those games.
Yeah. Well, GTA is each of them are their own individual stories. Like sometimes they might be references, but like they're their own unique protagonists basically every time, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I mean that is true. I mean you do have the aspect if you're gonna, in my opinion, is if you're trying to play just a single player experience or even a co-op experience.
Yeah, because Saints Row,
I think
most of the games.
Saints Row, like all the games are co-op. So like Saints Row is really good for a co-op experience. But if you're trying to play like, you know, online, I think GTA Online holds its own kind of, like I get it. It's like, oh, it's GTA Online, like most money-making video game ever all time. But like,
yeah, like it's GTA 5 is the most. Is the best-selling game ever, and then GTA Online currently has a huge lion's share of the live service video game market, which is taken up by GTA Online, Fortnite.
Apex? Is Apex still?
I don't know if it's Apex.
Look it up.
It's not WoW, no, because obviously WoW still gets like business. It's not like the same, like, because everyone's trying to like get a piece of that pie, that live service pie, not realizing that players will always default back to the one they've already put the most time into, unless there's just a better version of that previous game. Which is why when you had like Red Dead Online came out and it didn't make GTA Online money, despite the fact of GTA Online when it initially launched was terrible because there was nothing to do.
Yep. Okay, so the biggest live service games at the moment are... No, not the best. I want to know the biggest. Okay, IGN. Apex Legends. No. Son of a bitch. Some of the most active live service games include Roblox, Fortnite, Minecraft. I don't know, which isn't really live service.
No.
Counter-Strike, which, you know,
I guess.
CSGO. It says Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, 3, Warzone, Black Ops 6. I feel like that's a bit unfair. Warzone is one of the biggest ones because Warzone is Warzone. It's Call of Duty. And then on here it says The Sims. I don't think The Sims is not live service.
Yeah, Google in the situations like this, it's like kind of like I'm getting that from like GameRanks did a video about like the problem, like you know when Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League came out and they were trying to like get like a piece of that pie, but they just did it so terribly.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is a lot of these companies are just like, oh, I'm just gonna make a live service game, even though this game really does not fit into a live service model.
Like they're trying to leech off of
Fortnite and Grand Theft Auto.
Like there's a small percentage. There's like You have like this hole, and you divide it into pieces. Fortnite has most of it, and then GTA Online has a pretty decent chunk of it, and like every other company is trying to get like the remaining percentages, and it's like, it's not gonna work because the amount of effort and money you'd have to put into it. Not to mention, you have to support this game for a long ass time if you want to make actual money off of it.
Yeah, you know how Fortnite became the most famous live service game, despite my fact that I hate Fortnite?
It was free.
It was free to play.
The Battle Royale mode was free. It basically took an idea from PUBG, that riddled bug-ridden mess. That had a good idea. Fortnite just took up that niche, did it better.
Yep. And they constantly update it with new game modes, new character skins, new everything.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you can have Goku murdering Naruto, Iron Man, Billie Eilish, John Wick. Like, it's insane, you know?
Yeah.
Consistency, consistent updating, all these things go into what makes a live service game a good live service game. And a lot of these companies really don't, you know, they do not do that well. Like you said, freaking biggest example in recent history is, you know, Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, and that's just, oh my goodness. Like, I was excited for that game when it was announced, and then like,
there's also certain story problems that also make people not like the game beyond the terrible.
Oh yeah,
live service.
Yeah. Like the so unceremonious way. That is Kevin Conroy's last appearance as Batman.
Oh, it is?
That is his last appearance as Batman. Yes.
Now I'm even more upset.
Exactly. That's, a lot of people were very upset about that, because that is Kevin Conroy's last appearance as Batman. And it's in the last line is it's him getting shot by Harley Quinn completely unceremoniously, and it's really bad. It's just, it's not good.
I don't know what it is with this huge trend, trying to be like, oh, you know, these heroes, these iconic individuals, these people that we're supposed to look up to. You shouldn't look up to these people. They're terrible. Listen to these murderers. They actually know how the world works. Listen to them.
Well, Injustice is old.
Well, I know Injustice is old, but like, it seems like more and more common where it's like just good people trying to do good things, a little bit of whimsy, a little bit of light in the world. Everyone's like, no, not allowed. Nihilism.
Well, here's the... In Justice League kills the Suicide Squad, they're being taken over by Brainiac, but like...
Justice League kills the Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad kills the Justice League.
I understand story-wise the setup.
It's just stupid.
But like, that monologue that fucking Quinn gives to Batman is like so disrespectful.
Yeah.
This guy has given you so many chances.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
You're like if it was one thing where like Harley Quinn, like, she's like, no, I have to be the one that does it because he wouldn't want this. Bats always did everything he could to help people like me, even though we didn't deserve it.
Exactly.
He would not want this. I don't want this, but it has to be done. And I think Bats would appreciate
if it was me,
somebody who cared
exactly
to do it. Like, take that whole scene, change a couple things about it. I think people would maybe not, they wouldn't necessarily love it. They'd be like, single solitary manly tear.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, you can have it. It's like, you wouldn't love the scene, but like,
it would be bitter.
It would be a bitter scene,
but
it would be good.
Narratively,
there's a difference between you liking something and something, like, you can like the scene, technically speaking, without enjoying the scene.
Yes.
You know, and that is the biggest problem that whole game had. Like, for example, like, you had like these guys whenever they're fighting the Flash, it's like, this is the Flash, like, evil Flash. None of you stand a chance here.
Yeah, it's like when Young Justice had like the plot line where it's like Vandal Savage had control over the Justice League, and like the team was like, I'm surprised we're still alive. It's like, because they're limited by the person who's pulling their strings. The very thing putting us in danger is the only reason we're still alive. That's not the case here. That's not what's happening. Brainiac has control of their minds. Yes.
He's just making them evil.
Yeah.
They technically control what they do.
Yes.
And he's just like, be evil.
Like, even Barry himself, when he's dealing with, like, Reverse Flash, a guy who has all of his powers, he's like, you know, you have all my powers there, Thawne, but you have no imagination how to actually use them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, bro, like, how are any of you still alive?
I mean, there's always the question of, like, why are you still alive when facing people like Batman, Superman,
The
Flash. The answer in all those cases is because they're not trying to kill anyone.
Exactly. But now...
Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman doesn't really have an extensive rogues gallery, because usually when she deals with really, really bad individuals...
They're dead?
They're dead, or they're immortal.
Because she is a warrior.
It's like, Cheetah's like the only recurring villain she actually has.
Exactly, and Cheetah's more of a thief than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cheetah's not necessarily evil. She's just a thief.
Mm-hmm. Like, usually the thing with Wonder Woman, where it's like a lot of times with her, other dimensions are like, oh, like, the Justice League went off the rails. It was like, Amazons often get times picked, like, they are meant to quell the rages of man. So sometimes, like, they get kind of cynical and bitter. It's like, oh, we're always cleaning up their problems.
Well, the problem is Wonder Woman is supposed to be the opposite of that.
Yeah, Wonder Woman's whole thing is like, no. We quell the rages of man. We hope and believe they can be better. And that's why she has like people like Superman and Batman embody him to the fact that that is true.
Exactly.
There are people who will try to be better. I love we're all so completely off topic from Saints Row.
That's fine. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Well, I mean, it's funny because like Saints Row has the thing where it's like you have somebody in Stillwater, a gang-ridden, violent city where you could die at any point just because of these three-way battle constantly going on. Like, they bring up, like, the Canales were basically everywhere. The Vice Kings, led by Benjamin King, was like, no, we're going to clean up the streets, we're going to make this safe. And so they did that, like, basically painted the entire map from red to yellow. But then Ben King wanted to be more than just a criminal, so he tried to go legit. But when he did go legit, also, like, obviously, Julius was, like, his second in command, but, like, he saw, like, the Vice Kings were just as bad as the Canales, just, same shit, different coat of paint.
Yeah.
So he left. And then Ben wanted to go legit, so he became like actual businessman. And as doing so, he couldn't do things the way he previously could, which allowed the Canales to come back. And then the High Rollers kind of just showed up. Like I said, a bunch of rich prick kids running around doing crime because they can get away with it. And like their leader was like, what's it called, the alderman or something like that? He's some like political official inside the city or something like that. So Julius is like, okay, I'm gonna do it again this time, but this time I'm in charge. The Saints, and then of course it's the same problem he had. Like the Saints took over, and he's like, well, this is we're just as bad as those guys are, and just like tears it all down again. It's like that was Julius's problem, was you're trying to overcome a system riddled with crime, and you're trying to overcome that with crime.
That's why he blows you the fuck up.
Yes. That's why it's so satisfying in that mission, where it's like you meet Julius, and it's all Dax's fault because he's setting up the whole situation because he's trying to like wipe you out to like sweep his past underneath the rug. And you do this whole mission with Julius. It's like, oh man, we're still alive. It's like, yeah, thanks for that, and you immediately shoot and kill him. And then in Saints Row 4, later on with Keith David, because the joke about Keith David is he was the voice actor for Julius. So
yeah.
He's like, you sound just like Julius. And he goes, Julius was right. I mean, you're in a situation in the Saints Row universe where it's like, you have bad people who can just kind of run amok, do what they want, have more strength and durability than normal humans would. Like the Enforcer for the Canales, like they say, oh yeah, he survived 20 drive-bys. There's a literal, when you fight him in universe, like, oh, his car crashes, he's on fire, he's running toward you. I don't know about anyone else. I had a freaking sniper rifle and was unloading into this dude, and he was not going down. That's not normal.
Yeah, no.
And then you see later on, like by the time you get to Saints Row the Third, where it's like technology is really advanced. We have freaking like shield helicarriers and lasers and zombie plagues. Like, this place is crazy. And of course the boss, they emphasize again and again, the boss is like, oh, you psychopath. I prefer puckish rogue. Like, they are a monster. They do bad things. They kill people. Like, I like how Zinyak kind of plays into the idea where it's like in Saints Row, in the fourth game, where it's like, oh, you're trying to save I think it's Matt. After you go through the whole mini game, it's like it's like, oh, you have two options. You go through the blue or the red. If you go through the red, you surrender yourself to me. I will release all of humanity. Or you can go through the blue and keep like hurting yourself and the rest, whoever's left. This whole thing is like, what am I looking at? Your life, all the terrible things you have done. Like, how many people died because you decided that driving on the sidewalk was faster than driving on the road? And it's funny because players do that.
Yeah.
You're in an open world sandbox, like, crime game. People go on rampages and just kill people. They drive on the sidewalk. They blow things up just because you can. There are no consequences. And I kind of like the fact that the game kind of puts a lampshade on that.
Yeah.
And you have the option to actually agree. Like, okay, of course the game automatically ends. And, and the trophy is you chose poorly.
Yeah.
Because Zinniak's also a monster. Like, he can stand on whatever kind of like invisible high ground he thinks he has over you. I mean, he's a galactic emperor, enslaver of races.
Yep.
You really gonna talk to me about my choices in life? Again, the boss is a monster.
Yes.
But they're not the worst thing that's ever existed on the planet.
Yeah, no. That'd be Hitler.
Well, in the Saints Row universe, yeah. I just like the fact where it's like Saints Row has always been self-aware about itself.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing. It's like, unlike, certain Grand Theft Auto games, it's like Saints Row is like, it amps up that humor and it pokes fun at itself quite a lot. Like, you get a lot of those things where it's like the insurance scams, right? Which apparently a lot of people just really love, but I don't.
The frauds where you throw yourself into traffic.
Yeah, it's like they make that whole they make in-universe jokes about it all the fucking time. Like, this should not be possible.
I mean, I liked it better in 4 because it was way easier in 4. Because it was like, the third game was like, oh, insurance fraud. You're going to basically get money by just throwing yourself into traffic. In the fourth game, we're going to try to push the physics engine of the simulation as far as it can. So you get hit by a car and go like 190 feet in the air. Like, so it's really easy in the fourth game, probably because of how fucking difficult it was in the third game.
Yeah, interestingly enough, me and Aaron have both platinumed Saints Row the Third Remastered. You platinumed it, right?
No. But it's because it's like get all the challenges.
I have platinumed Saints Row the Third Remastered. Now, technically speaking, Aaron technically got me one of those trophies. But
it's because the game glitched out.
I earned the trophy. I did all of the challenges. The game glitched out and did not pop the trophy. So I had to go back like hours of progress. So I had to go to work the next day. So I just paid Aaron to go back and redo all the stuff that I already did. So I did earn that trophy on my own. It's just Aaron had to go back and re-earn it for me.
It's like there's just certain things where it's like in the fourth, Saints Row the Fourth, doing challenges, certain ones you want to do before certain points in the game, and it's just really freaking irritating. It's like, I don't know. I like Saints Row the 4, but like the in-game challenges required to get the platinum trophy, I just don't think it's worth it to do because it's just tedious.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of those, like the in-game challenges in like 2, 3, and 2, 4, and especially 1. Well, one's an Xbox exclusive, so you wouldn't want to do it anyways. But like 2 and 4, just not really worth. I think Saints Row, the reboot, might be worth it, the platinum. I'd have to beat the game first.
I think it's like you do the challenges and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the challenges aren't really that bad in the reboot.
It's been a while since I've gone to actually see what they are. I didn't realize they supported the game as much as they did. Like, we went back and it's like, oh, there's like a mini DLCs and they've added stuff. Like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. They came back and added shit even after the people blowing up about it.
Yeah.
See, that is the interesting thing is like, talking about platinums, ever since I think we did that video, was it a podcast? It was a podcast. That we did with achievements and platinum.
Yeah, right? with Sunslinger, we did a whole podcast about our platinum trophies and 100% completion which
is hilarious because I think back then I had like 23 platinums and you had like what, 11?
I don't know.
And I think now you have like 18, 19, somewhere around there. And I have like 51.
It doesn't matter as much to me because like, you're actively trophy hunting.
Yes.
But like for me, it's all like I said. It always comes down to, do I love this game? Yes. How difficult is the platinum? Then it'll determine if I actually go for the platinum or not.
Except for Bloodborne.
Well, that one I really liked. I really liked Bloodborne, so I went through the trouble of it because I knew I could. Because most of the most of the trophies in the game are beat bosses, collect items.
Yeah.
Which is things you're doing anyway if you're playing Bloodborne.
Well, that's the same way it is with like Elden Ring. For example, I tell this to people all the time. I'm like, Elden Ring is one of my favorite platinums because it's not easy, but it is easy. It's literally just collect all of the weapons, all the legendary weapons. Collect all the legendary items, like their legendary weapons, legendary ashes, stuff like that. Easy. None of those are missable except one. The legendary weapon, bolt of something.
Bolt of Karanos?
It's something axe.
I'm making a joke. That's a magic card.
Oh yeah. But there's one weapon that's missable if you don't get it before the ashes fall. Other than that, it's just beat a bunch of bosses. And it's like, okay, if you're playing the game, like some of these are side bosses where you wouldn't necessarily fight these bosses, just on your normal playthrough. Technically, you could beat the whole game in less than 9 bosses. But it is one of those things where it's like, okay, just play through, fight all these bosses. But the bosses are not easy. They are not easy bosses, most of them anyways. Which is why I'm like, Elden Ring is one of my favorite games, and it was one of my favorite platinums to platinum. I actually platinumed it twice, legitimately platinumed it twice, not just play it on PS4, transfer save up to PS5, and then pop all the trophies.
Yeah, I think Bloodborne is like eight bosses minimum if you don't glitch and skip things. Even though there's way more than that.
Yeah, no, Elden Ring's only 9 bosses at, the minimum. Like, you have to, because you have to fight, because you don't have to fight Morgoth, technically. You can, I don't know how to do it, I just know that you can skip Stormvale Castle.
I try to avoid exploits in an argument of...
No, it's not an exploit. Like, well, it is not like a breaking the game type thing. It is just, there is a route that you can take that avoids Stormvale Castle. It's just not suggested. Because you have to have, technically speaking, you have to fight 2 bosses with Great Runes. That's all you have to do. You have to fight 2 bosses with Great Runes. Now, there is like, I think like 8 or 9 bosses that have Great Runes, but you only have to fight 2 of them. And the 2 easiest ones are Renala and Godric. So that's why, is it Godric? I think, yeah, it's Godric. Godric the Grafted. So that's why everyone does those 2. Then you also have to fight the Fire Giant. That is a necessary, you cannot beat the game without fighting the Fire Giant, without glitching. You have to fight Godfrey, and then you have to fight Margit, which is Morgoth, but like his actual form. You have to fight him the second time, but technically the first time if you're doing it like that. And then you have to fight Radagon and the Elden Beast are the 2 final bosses. And there's 1 or 2 more bosses that are 100% you have to fight, but I can't remember which ones they are at the moment. But like, yeah, no, there's only like 9 mandated boss fights in that whole game, which is crazy to think about, because there's like 250 bosses in the game. But I like to play Elden Ring as a boss rush. I just run past everyone else.
Well, that's because you have an exploit that you just make a high level, give items, and run.
Yeah, well, now I have that exploit. I didn't have that on my first playthrough.
Well, that's not, you didn't do it as a boss rush your first playthrough, though.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Your statement of I like to play it as a boss rush is like, because you can do that.
Yeah, essentially, for those of you that don't know, there's an exploit that you can do it on any system. It's just easier to do on PlayStation, because what you do is...
Well, on PC you can just mod.
Well, yeah, but you shouldn't be modding on PC.
Well, there are things that you can do to make it not that big of a deal, because you basically force yourself into an offline server.
Yeah.
And then they don't auto-detect and stuff like that.
Yeah. But, like, on PS5, what you can do is you can get a stack of 700 runes by just copying, which takes a while. Don't get me wrong, it does take a while.
The first time you do it.
The first time you do it. But then you just get a stack of runes, 700 runes, right, of the 50,000 ones, the Lord's runes.
Basically, it's about exploiting, about going into your
You
cloud
upload your save data
Yeah.
to the cloud, and you make it to where it doesn't automatically upload. Then you upload your save data to the cloud. You give 700 runes to your friend.
Yeah, because
and then
it requires a second person.
Yeah. And then you re-download that 700 runes, and now you and your friend both have 700 runes.
Yeah.
And you could just use that to infinitely... That's why Ryan has 700 runes.
Yeah.
Like, just saved in his primary account, and I have 700 saved in mine in case either one of us wants to do another playthrough. Mm-hmm. That's how we have it.
See, I just used a mod that gave all merchants all items and then made all items free.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't help you with leveling up.
Yeah, it does. Because it's crunchable skills.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess all items.
Yeah.
I'm making myself level 4,000.
Well, even at a certain point in your levels, like even like the max ones, it's like, here's a lot.
Well, here's the thing. It's like even at like max level 99 in every stat, the game is not necessarily easy.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is like you
will still die.
It's basically the same argument with Pokemon, where it's like all I'm doing is taking out the unnecessary grinding in the game that pads the game. You still have to actually beat each of the things.
That's the thing is like I've seen people like 99 in every stat still die. Like,
yeah.
You will still die
if
you are not careful. You know, it is a lot easier to fight certain bosses, but like you can still die. And plus that is like it's like, you know, if you can do that to just like get yourself to a decent level to get through the game without having to do all the unnecessary stuff, but like still do like, you know, if you still upgrade your items at the correct rate, you know what I mean, or everything like that, where you're still earning all the smithing stones on your own, or like upgrading everything else at the normal rate for the game, but not having to do all the grinding for levels.
I guess my whole thing with I'm not the biggest fan of Elden Ring. I know a lot of people liked the open world aspect of like, I liked how I liked that the games were linear. I liked the fact of I was like, okay, I can follow this pathway, and sometimes there's branching paths, but at a certain point you're like, yeah, this all makes sense. You're exploring this world that you're trying to save and or destroy. Like you get to wander around every little bit of it. You get to see all these things, and the game is subtly guiding you in directions. And it's like Elden Ring, they have kind of elements of that too, but basically, as Ryan put it, you follow the wisp to the first mandatory boss. He thwomps you, and that's the game basically telling you, go explore, don't come here yet. And I argue the point of a lot of first bosses in Dark Souls games are about whomping you the first time, and then you need to come back and like beat them to challenge.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the best, teller of like, oh, maybe you shouldn't be here right now.
Well, that's part of the community aspect, in my opinion.
Well, Dark Souls has always had a community aspect, but I hold you could get through basically all the previous Dark Souls games on your own. You did not need help to get through. Maybe not in Dark Souls 1. I don't know about that. that one's a little bit.
I've never played Dark Souls 1.
But like,
I've played it. I've never.
Like my core experience with the Souls likes has been Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3.
Yeah,
and those two games specifically, you did not need another person to get you through that game.
I did. I still needed. I explicitly needed your help with Dark Souls 3, and I explicitly needed your help with Bloodborne.
No, you wanted my help with those games.
I couldn't figure out what to do. That was the problem. It's like none of the FromSoft games, in my opinion, all of the FromSoft games suck when it comes to. All of the FromSoft Souls-like games suck when it comes to a player who has no access to the internet knowing what the fuck to do. None of them are good at that. Bloodborne is bad at it. All of the Dark Souls are bad at it. Elden Ring is bad at it. The problem is player knowledge. The thing is whenever I first played Elden Ring, I didn't know what I was doing. But at this point, I've now played Elden Ring 7 times. So I know where most of the stuff is. I have good player knowledge of the game. It's the same with Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3, I might have only beaten it once, but I have enough knowledge of the game now, after playing through it that one time, going back and forth through several different levels, of knowing what to do. Bloodborne, I have gotten halfway through the game, and I still don't know where the fuck I am or how to get places. But that's only because I don't have the player knowledge of consistently playing through it yet. And I think this comes down to the issue of, like, the reason why you're not able to experience that same experience that I'm having, or why it's not the same for you now, is because it's been so long since you've played through Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3 the first time that you probably just...
Well, Dark Souls 3 is not a fair comparison because Dark Souls 3, I had already played Bloodborne, and once you have that mindset already in mind for Souls, because Dark Souls 3 is basically a perfected version of Dark Souls 1, 2, and Bloodborne. Like, it took cues from all those, and Demon Souls, all those games prior, and made the most fair player experience.
Oh yeah, because I always hate that comparison. Like, people always talk about, like, Dark Souls 1 and 2. They're like hard but fair, and I'm like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Dark Souls 1 is not hard but fair.
No.
It is not fair.
It's asinine.
It is straight up not fair.
Yeah.
Dark Souls 2 a little bit more argumentative there. It's not a fun game, but it is a bit argumentative.
I mean, it was trying to do something a little bit different from the original Dark Souls, and people hated it, so that's why
it was a lot more fair than the first game.
Yes.
But, like, people hated it because it wasn't as good as the first game. And I'm like, but the first game wasn't even good.
Yeah. Dark Souls 3 did the thing which I liked, which was, okay, here's your starting area. Very small starting area. You're not going to get lost here. Boss. Beat it. Prove that you are good enough at this game to beat a boss. And then we'll let you in.
No, I remember, because I remember my first time playing Dark Souls 3, I just could not get past the first boss. Straight up could not get past the first boss.
I did it first try, but that was after I'd already platinumed Bloodborne, so...
Yeah, no, but then I went and played Elden Ring.
It even took Ryan and Klain a couple of tries, and they already had experience.
Yeah.
So I'm like, am I just good? Or are they just trash?
But then I went back. I played Bloodborne, which, I beat Father Gascoigne first try.
Yeah, you did. And I was very impressed about that because that took me a few tries my very first time.
Yeah.
Playing the game. Then again, I also had like zero experience. Period.
Well, that was my first time playing any FromSoft game, like playing through any FromSoft game, and then I went and beat Elden Ring twice, and then I came back to Dark Souls 3, fought the first boss, and I had zero issues. I was like, wow, I can't believe the skill gap is that fucking big between now and then. Like, it was crazy. Aaron remembers this because Aaron was there whenever Aaron might remember this, but he was there when I first beat Dark Souls 3 because he guided me through it.
Yeah, I was helping you through the game. Basically, I had a rule where it's like you had to face every boss at least once on your own before I would help you.
Yeah, which most of them I didn't really need help with. I think the only one that I really, really needed help with was it the King? Was it the Thunder King? Nameless King? Yeah.
Which was
Did you actually help me with Nameless King? Or did I end up having to beat that one on my own?
No, I helped you.
Okay.
We helped each other because at that specific run I was doing a sorcery only run. And
because I remember
I could not get past the dancer.
I literally built a strong boy build specifically to help you get past the dancers. So
well, you were just doing that on your own.
Well, no,
it was just funny that it happened to be like, oh yeah, like you have immovable force versus unstoppable object.
Yes, and it's so fucking funny because I had the big boy, the Tonk shield, and then you add the magical. I have a fucking a staff just to cast the one spell,
magic shield, so that you had 100% stability, so you do not lose stamina.
Yeah, just think.
It's a 100% physical block shield that does not take stamina to block. Now, you still take damage from elements, which is why, like, against the Dancer, where it's like second stage, it does fire and dark, so you can't just stand there and be like, I got this. Like,
I had to move.
You had to
move.
But,
like, you combine that, because I was using the Ultra Great Sword, and then...
No, you're using the Spyhander.
No. I was using the Ultra Great Sword. I might have only had the Zweihander at that point.
At that stage, yeah.
I might have only had the Zweihander.
Because you didn't have the ring, Havel's ring to increase your... Not Havel's ring. The Broken Chain, which increased your vigor, so you wouldn't just be like... You needed to be able to
move.
Walk.
Yeah, because like I think I'm heavy roll. I think I'm still.
You're still fat roll, but you can move.
Yeah. Because like I'm fat roll in that game because like I'm like, I'm not rolling.
No,
I
your
am
whole
not
point is
rolling.
the whole point is to guard.
I am tonking my way through shit in this game, and ever since that build, because Dark Souls 3 was the first one that I actually no, Dark Souls 3 was the first one that I beat.
You beat, yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't beat Elden Ring. I had just played Elden Ring at that point.
Yeah.
So no, Dark Souls 3 was the first one that I actually beat, and then I went through and I beat Elden Ring, and I'm still in the process of beating Bloodborne.
I mean, I'm ignoring when I say the whole thing like Dark Souls 3 is the most fair experience. I'm ignoring literally all the DLC.
Yeah,
Because From Software was like, oh, everyone says Dark Souls 3 is too easy. I bet 3-stage boss fights. Fuck you.
Yeah, no, I do still enjoy Dark Souls 3. I did not enjoy the fight against the Nameless King, but
that was like a late game optional super boss, basically.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like it takes a little bit of the frustration out of it.
Yeah.
Where it's like
it still was a frustrating boss.
like he is not impeding your ability to finish the game.
Yeah.
He's just, oh yeah, if you beat him, you get access to some really cool stuff.
Yeah, but ever since that playthrough of Dark Souls 3, it's just like every FromSoft game that I do, I try to do a Tonk Boy build because I just love it. Like, you know, I did in Elden Ring, I did my Tonk Boy build using Radahn's armor and the fingerprint shield with the rotten great axe. And I'm like, okay, I am pure strength. I am Stronk Boy all the way through. Like, you know,
I can't not dodge. That's my problem with doing like a pure like Tonk Boy build is I hate not being able to dodge.
Well, in that one specifically, because my strength is so high, and my endurance is so high, I can still medium roll with the heaviest shit in the game, which is hilarious in Elden Ring, anyways.
I mean, going back to our main topic of discussion, but still keeping the theme of progression, where it's like in the original Saints Row, and even Saints Row 2, there was no, like, you couldn't upgrade your weapons. It was just, as you progressed in the game, you got more money and could buy better weapons.
Yeah. Which, because Saints Row 2, 3, I think in Saints Row 2 is when they introduced where you can start upgrading.
That was the third.
Weapons. It was the third?
And it was like, it was like, okay, each one has 5 upgrades. Each weapon has 5 upgrades. And then it was in 4, where it's like, there are like 4 branches, each with their own 5 upgrades, something like that. So like, they really like, built it,
weapons,
and then they got rid of that for Get Out of Hell, and like you can still upgrade in PS5, but it's like the third, where it's like you can increase the damage a little bit, and you get all that out. You get like a special ability in the weapon.
Oh, okay.
And I liked 4 better because it gave a more natural, like, I can use this gun the entire playthrough.
Yes.
And I slowly upgrade it so we can match
late game
stuff. Well, it's not even like late game. Like literally, you have heavy pistol and you have light pistol, and you can upgrade their ammo, their damage, their fire speed, and then they each had unique special abilities once you've maxed out all their upgrades and everything like that.
See, that's the thing that I love whenever they do in games. It's like, okay, like if I can use my starting weapon throughout the entire game and have it be equivalent to late game weaponry, that's how you know you've got a good game weapon system, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's why
and that's why Breath of the Wild sucks, because Breath of the Wild, it's like all right, I have this legendary weapon, this weapon of myth and legend, the great thunder sword of fucking
Thunder
of Fire Mountain.
What?
I'm exaggerating.
The Master Sword.
No, I'm not talking about
the sword that seals.
I am not talking about the Master Sword specifically here. Because Master Sword doesn't break. I have the great Thunder Sword of Fire Mountain, and I've used it 5 strokes, and it's destroyed.
I mean, Fire Mountain.
So what you end up doing
with a rock smash.
What you end up doing, and this is not just me. I swear to God, Aaron is the only person that's ever defended this system that I've ever heard. But like, I swear to God, everyone that I speak to, it's like, all right, I just end up using fucking sticks and bokoblin arms 90% of the time because I don't want to break all my fucking good shit because they only last 5 strikes.
It's not 5 strikes. The shitty ones, 5 strikes. The better stuff lasts longer. The whole thing about Breath of the Wild is you're basically one guy trying to stop an apocalypse that's technically already happened.
Here's my problem.
So you can't just be like, I'm gonna just run in, beat every single bad guy, no problem, kick in the front door, hey Ganon. I mean, obviously there are players who do that, but they use exploits and other stuff like that to like make the game easier on themselves. The whole thing about Breath of the Wild is exploring creativity and encouraging you to use options of attack beyond just frontal assault.
I guess
It's trying to make you clever, it's trying to make you fast, it's trying to make you think, and all these things. And so it's like, and if they did not break your weapons, You would find one weapon type that you liked, and you'd use the entire game, and would never explore the other weapons.
That's fine.
No.
I would much prefer that.
Well, because you get all the champion weapons, and each of them has like a spear, a short sword, a hammer, a bow and arrow, which obviously use bow and arrow.
None of those should be breakable. None of those should be
But
breakable.
you could remake them. They're remakeable. You make new ones. It's fine.
Yeah, using incredibly hard to get to fucking materials.
I mean, not really. Because, like, the weapon you need is in each of the local villages. And then you need a diamond. Now, early game, yeah, that's hard to get to. It's find a diamond. Then you get to a point where it's like, yeah, I can just have diamonds. It's fine. It's things where it's like, all renewable weapons are at a point in the game where it's like, yes, you're preparing for the final boss, you have remakeable weapons, you have enough knowledge about the game to do this. Early game, it's about Link rebuilding up his power. It's a whole thing about rebuilding up your strength and preparing. Like, that's the thing that
rebuilding your strength is fine.
That's the thing about Breath of the Wild that other ones don't, where it's like, all right, I am prepared as I'm ever going to be to take on this challenge. Versus other games are like, well, I guess there's nothing else to do. Might as well beat the final boss.
See, here's my biggest problem, right? I went to fight Ganon. Right? I have her here. I'm fighting Ganon, right? And then I'm completely out of weapons halfway through the boss fight.
Well, you suck.
Well, yes! I'm not good at fucking Zelda games. Which is why, here's my biggest problem with Breath of the Wild. It's not a fun game, 90% of the time. Like, I don't understand
Disagree, but
why people like Breath of the Wild. Like, even people that I know, that I talk to, that say they like Breath of the Wild, do nothing but complain about it. So, like, what do you besides story and besides story and what's the word, like ambiance? What the fuck is to like about it? Because the gameplay isn't fun. Like, the only thing that I found fun in the gameplay was cooking. Just because the fucking little jingle is fun. Like, riding on horses is not fun. Unless you get that one fucking...
Yeah, that's one thing, is like, I don't know why in Tears of the Kingdom they did not bring back the teleporting saddle.
Yeah,
like why?
Yeah, it's just...
It's like, you don't use your horse if you can't summon it.
See, that's the same problem, like, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because, like, in teleporting horses, in Horizon Zero Dawn, right, they give you... The way you fast travel in Horizon Zero Dawn is you use fast travel packs, or you can fast travel from any fire to another fire. So you can either it's like that, which I fucking hate that fast travel system. Like in Witcher 3, it's exactly like that, but you cannot fast travel from anywhere. You can only fast travel from one fast travel point to another fast travel point, which I hate that. But in Horizon, they allow you to do it. Like, you can craft packs, using materials to fast travel to any point in the map, right?
Anywhere, any place you've already unlocked.
Yeah, any place that you've already unlocked. So, but in the first game, they had this thing called the Golden Fast Travel Pack that you can unlock for like 50 shards, which is not that much. You just have to know that it's there. And that's unlimited use. And they got rid of that in the second game. Which is like, I get it. Honestly, it really isn't that hard to craft fast travel packs. It's just annoying. And then they introduced this other thing in the first game that they got rid of in the second game, which is armor with a shield.
Well, because it broke the game.
It did, because, like, here's the problem with the game, and especially in late game in Horizon Zero Dawn, it's like you are a two-hit wonder. Like, literally, you get hit twice, you're dead.
And that's the thing that really frustrated me about Horizon Zero Dawn. It's trying to sell itself as this technical, sneaky, trap-based archer thing. It's not. It's a running gun. You cannot just sit in the bush.
Against big dinosaurs, yes.
Even against, like, multiple small ones, you can't do that.
You can. It really isn't that hard against small ones.
Okay, but, like, you come across, like, the flame or frost-spitting ones, or, like, the stealth trackers. Like, once you have an enemy that you cannot one-shot with your bow, like, what the fuck?
You can technically do all those sneakily. I've done it a million times, but, like, it takes a while.
Yeah, it takes a while. It takes your entire bag of shit.
Yeah. It's just so much easier to run and gun.
I mean, literally, you told me, I was trying to, I'm just tactically, and you're like, you're doing it wrong, and you just ran out and ran around pot-shotting the saber tooth. It's like, that's how you play the game. That's what you told me.
That's how you did that one specific section, because that section.
No, because then you also know the other part where there was a Bellowback and a bunch of rams, and I was like, how do I get through here without getting spotted by literally everyone?
You don't.
Exactly.
Because certain sections are not meant to be stealthed.
But if the game is selling itself as this tactical stealth-based game...
But it wasn't! It was not selling itself as that.
Yes, it was!
No, it was not! It was like you have the option...
What's the tutorial?
You have the option...
What's the tutorial?
You have the option...
What's the tutorial?
That is a stealth tutorial to introduce you to stealth being...
It's the game's tutorial!
Stealth being a mechanic. No, because before that tutorial, you have a fighting tutorial.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do!
No, the first tutorial is the sneaks tutorial.
No!
Yes, it is.
No, it is not!
The first tutorial is the sneaks tutorial.
When she's a little girl?
Yeah.
And then the very next tutorial is when she's grown up, and it's like, hey, this is how Aloy is now, because as a child, she can't fight against the giant robots.
Yeah,
but as Aloy is now, as a teenager, she can fight against the giant robots, so you fight against the Sabretooth, you do the initial thing where it's like, okay, you sneak up, set the wires, have it be shocked, then you add active combat.
That's not a tutorial. That's a, all right, you've gone through the tutorial area. Here's the final boss of the tutorial area.
It's not trying to set it itself. It says...
Yes, it is!
No, it is not.
Yes,
the game is like, you have the option to sneak. You have the option to fight. Sometimes you sneak. Sometimes you fight. You're not always sneaking, and you're not always fighting. You just have to determine what is the best for the individual situation that you are in.
Yeah, so that tutorial boss literally taught me, okay, be sneaky, use the tripwire. Okay, it's gonna expose it. All right, then I hit its boss. All right, I did the thing. Oh, it's still alive. Oh, fuck, it sees me. Oh, God, I'm dying. It doesn't prepare you to be like, all right, here's what happens. Its whole thing is, I'm being stealthy. Oh, shit, he found me. I must have done something wrong, because everything the game has been teaching me up to this point is you could do everything without getting spotted.
No.
Yes.
That's not what the game is teaching you.
Because the basic enemies in that area are the horses, which you can one-shot. The fucking, like, drill things, whatever the fuck they are. Like, you can, they're harder, but you can beat those guys without getting spotted. The ones with, like the saws in their mouths. Like, not the
sawtooths. No, not
sawtooths.
The
ones with, like, the...
Scrappers.
Scrappers, yeah. The ones that dig in the stone. It's like, and then there's, like, I think one other enemy type in the base game. But, like...
The Watchers.
Yeah, the Watchers. And you can one-shot them! So every enemy besides, like, the final
boss... If you hit them in the weak spots.
Yeah, but that's the game is basically teaching you is every enemy has a weak spot.
Yeah, and then the game does the tutorial whenever you leave the fucking grounds. Whenever you leave the grounds, it's like, hey, there are some enemies in here that you can't just fucking one-shot. Here's one, and we're going to teach you how to fight it.
No, it didn't, because the thing is like, all right, he literally says, you've learned everything you need to learn. You pass or succeed on your own. Go do it. Basically implying everything you've learned right now, which is sneak.
That is not you use. That is just you. That is all on you. That is all on you. Just get good. That is
get good in a mechanic the game has not taught me. Cool.
Fight the fucking things!
You yourself told me melee attacks suck. Do not use melee attacks.
No, don't use a melee attack. What you do is you shoot your arrows at its weak spots.
Yeah, I know how to do it now.
And then you dodge.
Yeah, I know.
And then you shoot your arrows at the weak spots.
I know how to do it now, but everything up to that point was literally the game was like, be stealthy, don't get spotted.
That is so incorrect.
No, that's not incorrect.
That is not everything that the game has
Yes,
taught
it
you.
was.
No, it is not.
Yes, it was.
No, it is not.
Yes,
There is other stuff. Because, no, that's the thing. Before that is a story mission. And you yourself, the way you play the game, there is like 4 side missions between the first tutorial and that one where you have to fight robots outside of stealth.
Where?
All over the map! They pointed out, they give green exclamation marks that say, hey, these are side quests. Do these before going here.
Yeah, I did those.
None of those. All of those you have to fight robots.
Not in open combat.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
Because some of them, you have to enter open combat just to start the fucking mission. That makes no sense. What do you mean it's only teaching you to stealth?
It was.
But it wasn't.
It was.
I literally just played it. I just started the game over like a week ago.
So a game...
Incorrect.
So in a game where you're already accustomed to how the combat works, and so you've played a game before, you go into it and you're like, oh, no need to stealth because I'll just kill this guy. The game was teaching you that there's a way to get around every enemy without getting spotted. That's what it was teaching you.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was.
It's teaching you, hey, there is stealth in this game. You are able to stealth in this game in certain sections where there's lots of grass, but common sense dictates there is an open field, 0 grass, all rock, no hiding spots. I'm not going to be able to sneak my way through this.
No, in every area in the opening, there was always somewhere to hide. Always.
All I'm saying is common sense. If you look at a game, if you look at an area with a bunch of enemies, with 0 hiding spots, common sense dictates you cannot sneak your way through this encounter. You gotta fight. Now, there is ways to get around that encounter, to get around that area without fighting enemies, but you're not in that area. But if you want to go through this passage, you gotta fight some shit, or just run past them. Like in FromSoft games, it's like I don't want to fight you.
I still disagree.
Well, you can disagree all you want. You're just wrong.
I disagree, but going back to Saints Row.
What are you talking about?
You're the one that keeps veering off topic.
That's fine. It's Saints Row is Saints Row. There's 6 games. We can talk about whatever we want. It's our podcast.
Yeah, but we started with the whole thing like, oh, we're gonna talk about Saints Row, and like talking about other games is one thing, but like, I'm trying to focus on this one thing, and you're like, here's another thing about another game that's nothing to do with it. I'm like, what the fuck? Well, the thing that I like about earlier Saints Row games, which it had a bunch of side missions. Like, it had a bunch of like little like things you had to do because you had to build up respect before you could do things.
I forgot about that.
So it forced you to do little side missions, and each of those side missions had they would become harder.
Well, here's my thing. I think in the first game it was not so much fun because like the missions that you had to do to earn respect, yes, they did get progressively harder, but it was less progressively hard and more progressively annoying. Whereas in like 2 and 3, it wasn't as bad. 2 was a lot worse than 3 was when it came to it came to side missions.
Because 3 was you do this one thing once and then the district is yours.
Yes, and I like that.
I didn't think that really made much sense to me.
Well, because it's individual districts. It's like you do this thing and this, because it's like, okay, you have like the piece as a whole, so you have like 3 pieces, right? And then that 3 pieces is divided into several different pieces with side missions in each individual piece, where it's like, okay, you do this side mission, you get this section, and I'm like, I like that.
Well, in the second game, I blank on the first game because I've only played it once. But the second game, it was literally, it's different territories. Like there are 3 main portions of the map, and each one is owned by different gangs. And you came in, and you would do side missions like, delivering VIPs, driving cars around.
It's made by THQ.
A lot of games were on that era. Were THQ.
Wow.
They basically, you did it to get respect and money in order to then do main story missions. Each main story mission gave you a territory. Now that makes a lot of sense to me. You did a thing, you messed up that gang, you took over that territory. Whereas in 3 and 4, it's like, let me drive around in this car with this tiger. Now I have that district. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, I get that.
But the thing about it was Saints Row 2 specifically, because like I said, I think 1 had a similar system, but 2, you did different, and it didn't force you to do every single side mission ever. You could pick ones that you were good at, and then to keep doing the more progressively difficult ones. And then to get, like, honestly, there's a point where I just did, like, this, I maxed out one of those side missions, and it was able to do, like, 4 or 5 main story missions, like, without having to stop.
I think at that time, now correct me if I'm wrong, I think at that time that was a fairly unique system.
I'm not a game historian. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not either.
I'm a collector, not a historian.
Yeah, I'm a collector. I have not played 90% of these games.
Like, everyone talks about how like Saints Row was basically just a GTA clone, the first one, which it was.
Yeah, it was.
And then 2 is when it started differentiating itself. I don't know if any other like Sleeping Dogs or like
I've never played Sleeping Dogs.
Any of those.
I haven't played any of the other GTA clones. Well, here's the thing. I didn't like GTA. Like I didn't like the format of GTA.
No.
I liked Saints Row because it was stupid and zany.
It was fun.
Now I like GTA 5, but that's just because of the online aspect of it.
Yeah, like I remember people talk about how great GTA 4 was, like Scott the Woz game ranks.
It's not.
It's not.
I've also played San Andreas. It's not fun.
Well, things this is even like back in the day, like when I was young, I was like, oh, like GTA 4 online's on not online. GTA 4, it's on sale. I hear people talk about how fun this game is. I'll play the game. And I started it. I'm like,
it's not fun.
It's not fun. And then 5, like
the story mode of 5 is fun in my opinion. I know you don't like the.
There are just too many characters that I cannot stand.
Yeah, like Lamar.
Like Lamar.
Like I love Franklin.
Yeah.
Like Lamar does nothing but drag Franklin down.
Exactly.
Like why are we here?
Yeah. It's like online. Only reason that I started playing online at all was because it's like, oh, you can play a game online with my friends. Because like you know, like freaking Klain and like we haven't really given him a name. You know, person who is roommate with Klain. They're like, oh, let's do these games you can play online. It'll be fun to play with friends and all these things. And
what's his gamer tag? Is it that gamer?
I think that gamer, yeah. Whatever. He's like, oh, these are fun games you play online. It's like, okay. And it's like Mad Dragon. He's like, oh, we play Halo or Black Ops or these things. I'm like,
Mad Dragon does not play any games that you play. I am shocked that y'all are friends.
Well, we're friends. We were friends because we went to school together. We had choir together.
Yeah. They're theater kids.
Yes. Like online, I'm like, oh, GTA Online? Okay, like it was on sale. Do you say it's fun?
That's the funny thing is because Mad Dragon hated GTA.
Yes, he does. I've never played GTA Online with him.
Which is weird.
Because he loves Saints Row.
Yeah, and I'm just like, dude, play GTA.
Like, I agree, Saints Row.
And the thing is he agreed to play GTA Online, but now he doesn't have a PlayStation.
Yeah.
He only has a Switch. Fucking scrub.
Yeah. Well, because he's a Nintendo fanboy. Nintendo and Xbox, that's his thing. And I'm like,
yeah, and I'm just like, I actually played Halo. With Mad Dragon.
I played Halo with him too.
Yeah.
Shooters.
Overwatch.
Shooters are a fine piece of a game that can make a game great. But if it's all it is, it gets boring to me.
I understand you don't really like shooters nearly as much as I do, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like games of all genres. Like, Aaron is a lot more picky when it comes to genres of his games. Whereas I'm like, it's the game that matters, not the genre.
Well, I mean, that's, you can, any game genre.
Well, I get that, but like, you won't really play any fighting games, with the exception of Street Fighter 6.
Because it had a character creator mode.
Yeah, because it had a character creator mode.
That's how you get me into these things. give me a character creator. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, like Aaron doesn't play fighting games. I play fighting games.
Like there's like
Aaron does not play racers.
No.
Racing games.
Because I find them
play sports games.
I find them boring. I find them boring.
Sports games have character creators.
I know they do.
Oh yeah, because like remember WWE?
Yeah.
I got Aaron to play WWE with me because he got to create his own wrestler.
But of course, the problem with that one was I had no experience, and you were just already really good at the game. It's like, okay, let's play, and then you'd want me. I'm like, I don't know.
I would try to hold back, but even trying to hold back, it's like at a certain point, it's like if you can't counter, you can't counter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm. But it's like I taught you how to counter, but you have to get the timing right. And
well, it wasn't about counters. Like you would attack me, I would counter. You would attack me, and then my counter games would be completely drained, and then you would have full counters, and then just completely destroy me.
Yeah.
I couldn't defend myself.
That's the problem.
And I was like, I mean, I'm not gonna say the game is bad because like there's a tactical angle to it.
Yes, it is. That is very much like that's the thing. Is like WWE games specifically when it comes to fighters. I think those are some of the best fighting games that there are. Like, because people are like, oh, you got like Tekken, Street Fighter, fucking all these other ones like Mortal Kombat, and I'm just like, no. Because like with those, it's like, okay, you got your punch and your kick buttons, and your block button, and your move button. Whereas WWE, it's like, okay, these are grapples, these are strikes. You have multiple different combinations for different grapples and strikes. You have how do I grab them? You have how do I move them? How do I throw them? How do I pick up items? Like there is so much memorization in that game. Like if there was any sort of fighting game that like would benefit from keyboard, it is wrestling, because like how many inputs? Like it's like, okay, I have all of my grapples, and then I have all my reverse grapples, and then I have my strikes, reverse strikes, top ropes, running strikes, running grapples. Like, there is so much stuff to memorize in that game, and I have all of it memorized for 17 anyways. And it's just like, I think if you're gonna play a fighting game, that's definitely a good one to go into. That's a way fun because you got your character customization. You can create your own story.
It should not necessarily be your first one?
Oh no, absolutely not. Like if you're trying to get into the actual fighting genre, if you're trying to get into the actual fighting genre, I think the best ones to get into are definitely either Mortal Kombat or Tekken.
Well, Street Fighter 6 actually is
if you're playing on easy combat.
No. Street Fighter 6, I think, is actually one of the best games to start with fighting-wise, because the single-player story mode is essentially a tutorial on how to play Street Fighter. Because like each of the mini games to earn money, it's a different aspect of the fighting game. It's about like jumping attacks, low attacks, how to like hit in different angles, timing for specific attacks. Like there's this one like you have to like chop like the top off a bottle, and there are characters who are literally like you have to hit a direction and hold and let go of a button to do certain kinds of attacks. So, like it's training you in every single aspect of different fighting characters without you even realizing it. It is the best stealth tutorial. Like that's the thing with Injustice. It's like, oh, I am not gonna let you progress to do this game until you do a bounce cancel exactly perfectly. Do it now. 5 minutes of me struggling. What the fuck am I doing wrong? Finally does it correctly once. What did I do right? Never doing that again. I don't know what the fuck going on.
It's like that Xenoverse, that one freaking one where it's like you have to the timing has to be so fucking so fucking perfect. Where it's like I think like 15% of people that have ever done it, like. Yeah, it's fucking insane.
But with Street Fighter 6, like I said, there's a whole single-player story where you can create your own character, you can pick masters, you can combine different techniques and skills. It is a good stealth tutorial.
If you're doing modern combat style, like modern controls, I guess that would make sense. I haven't played Street Fighter 6 as much as you have. Like, because Street Fighter is the one fighting game series that I've always avoided because I've always hated its control style. But since Street Fighter 6 has a different control scheme, that's the reason why I was like, okay, I'll give Street Fighter 6 a chance.
Well, it also has the advantage of, like, you only have so many slots with that advanced fighting style. Eventually, if you want to get into more techniques, it will require you to actually start doing the more advanced techniques, which, again, good stealth tutorials. Like, okay, this is easy, and then for these other techniques, if you want to have more than just, like, 3 attacks, you've got to start, like, dipping your toe into the mechanics. And also because of the fact of, like, Street Fighter it's usually, like, circles and half circles. Like it's pretty easy for your thumb to actually do those. Unlike certain,
it's not for me. It's not easy for me to do half circles.
With Mortal Kombat, where it's like up, down, right, up, down. The sequence of buttons is like. Well, that's the half circle.
Yeah, that's how they do it. Half circles are a lot harder. I don't like half circles.
No, but it's little for Street Fighter. It'd be like left, down, right. So it's the circle. It's like your thumb could be able to do all.
But it never works for me like that. It really doesn't. That's where I don't like those kinds of controls in fighting games. Like I like back, forward, square. You know, it's like that is very clear. Like back, forward, square. There is not going to be a confusion from the controller, because if I'm going like this and I'm doing a half circle, but the game doesn't register that I did a half circle. But if I go like left, right, it's going to register I went left, right. Now, at what speed you did that really is what determines whether or not you do the move.
Yeah.
But like, when it comes to those specific moves, and if you don't accomplish it, you know it's because you did not nail the timing. If you do a half circle move and you don't accomplish it, you don't know if it's because the fucking controller didn't register the half circle, or if it's because you didn't get the timing right.
Well, it also the advantage of doing that is the fact that it's like half circle triangle. That's a move in most characters. Unlike unlike Street Fighter or something, not Street Fighter. Unlike in like Mortal Kombat, where it's like this string of moves might not transfer.
No, that's not how. In Mortal Kombat, every character is gonna have. In Mortal Kombat, there's like a grand total of like 12 different combinations. It's like down, back, triangle. That is going to work on 50% to 90% of the characters. They are going to have an attack that is back, forward, triangle. You know, they're going to have an attack that's down, back, triangle, down, back, circle, down, back, square. Like, you just test out those combinations in practice mode with any character, and you're going to quickly find out every single move that any character has. Or you can just look at the easy cheat screen, you know. But, like, it is always going to be the same combination of buttons for any special attack. Every special attack will always have that specific combination of buttons, with a few exceptions. There is a few very specific exceptions, like for like very, very special moves, and they're usually what's it called? legacy moves, where it's like, okay, these are moves from like the first couple of games. Like all modern Mortal Kombats, it's like, you know, and usually it tends to make sense. Like even the fatalities, like for example, my favorite fatality in Mortal Kombat 10 is Triborg's. He turns you into a meat cube by putting you into a saw. So it is back forward down down up, right? So you go back, that's you turning into the machine. Forward is you shooting your claws forward, and then down down is the press going into the body, and then up is you shooting the meat cube out. So even the fatalities, it's like you can kind of make a freaking, you know, correlation there, in my opinion. But I think Street Fighter 6 does have a good, you know, introduction into fighting games based on what I've seen with it.
The only problem
but
I have
you just
with it
know
is,
more about it than I do.
The only problem I have with it is there's no New Game Plus.
Yeah, did you hear Veilguard does not have a New Game Plus?
Really?
Yeah. Does not have. I was pissed.
I mean, to be fair, like, Inquisition, as far as I'm aware, is the only one that had a New Game Plus. I don't think 1 or 2 had it.
I don't think they did, yeah, no.
Yeah.
But, like, let me transfer my equipment, please! Or at least, maybe not the equipment, but my appearances.
Yeah.
Like, just let me transfer.
I mean, that's a hit or miss in a lot of games, where it's like, if you can, like, in a character creator, if you can, like, favorite appearances or something like that. Like,
no, like, I mean, like, my transmog appearances. You know what I mean?
As in,
because
like, if you unlock the appearance of an item in a new playthrough, you could then use the appearance of that item.
Yeah. Like, let me keep those.
Yeah, I can see that.
Give me a golden nug, you cowards.
I mean, Veilguard is it's different than previous Dragon Age games.
It is. However, I did find out that I was like, man, why does it seem so short? No, it's not short. It's about the same length as every other Dragon Age, with the exception of Inquisition. Inquisition is just like 30 hours longer than any other Dragon Age game.
Because of the extra padding.
Well, I did find out there was, like, you know, mobile games and stuff like the Dragon Age mobile game had an average playtime of like 100 hours to beat.
That's because it's a mobile game.
Yeah, fucking insane.
Yeah, like Saints Row, I couldn't even tell you how long those games are to beat.
Most of them are less than 20 hours if you're just doing story missions.
But in earlier ones, you can't just do story missions. They require you to do, like, a little bit of the extra
that
stuff.
is the thing. It's like okay, because you don't have to earn all of the respect
all at once.
Well, you don't have to earn all the respect to beat the game.
Well, it's also effective. Story missions also will give you respect too.
Yeah, that is the other thing.
So if you get like a good solid chunk at the beginning of the game, and then just do story missions, you'll get pretty far.
I'm kind of curious. Let me look this up. Like, average time to beat every Saints Row game. Average time to beat every Saints Row game.
It could be wrong, but I think in Saints Row 2 there was like 10 missions for every gang, and then like it was like 5 tutorials. It was like 5 starting missions, 10 missions for every gang, and then 5 ending missions against Old Horde.
It's just giving me the one for the most recent one.
I'm not shocked.
When focusing on the main objectives, Saints Row is about 12 and a half hours in length. If you're a gamer that strives to see all the aspects of the game, you are likely to spend around 50 hours to completion, 100% completion. Which sounds about right.
I mean, that's fine.
That sounds about right for most Saints Row games. It's like they're 12 to 20 hour experiences, which is fine. That's the perfect length for a Saints Row
because they were like started off on the Xbox and PS3.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect length for like a Saints Row type.
I mean, I think 4 was much longer because it had like a bunch more story missions in it.
Yeah, but like 4's story was...
Well, because it's like you have to go rescue your party members. You have to do like that was another thing that it literally is like side quests tied to like loyalty missions. Where it's like you would like talk to and the best part about that was you could literally be like, oh, this crewmate wants you to do these side activities on the map. Well, I've already done those side activities, so it's just like, oh yeah, you completed it. Oh yeah, you completed it. Oh yeah, you completed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So being able to like do all those, because that's another example of like it's encouraging you to do all the side activities on the map for an actual tangible. Unlike 2, where it's like technically speaking, it was kind of just padding the game out. In 4, there was a tangible benefit of it was the way to unlock the loyalty quest for each of your companions, which does change the ending of the game.
It's like in all those games where it's like, oh, I need you to collect my sword from inside the dungeon. It's like, oh, this sword?
Yes, I love it when games let you do that. I hate
Yeah.
it when games like, oh, I've already been to that area. So did you get this random item that does not spawn until I talk to you? No.
No, I love it when games allow you to do that.
I like when you can collect an item early. It's like, oh, this one? Yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
What? How? But how?
It's even weirder whenever you don't remember collecting that item.
Well, you just found it. You just picked it up, kept it in your back pocket. Because oh, maybe I'll use it later. What's funny is I don't know if this is true necessarily, but like I feel like in Skyrim there's things like, oh, like you retrieve this item, and it's like, and you could have like grabbed the item and then sold it at a store to go to that store to get it back to give it to him.
Dude, I shit you not. There was a time Volcus's sword. You know how you're supposed to take it to get like sharpened and give it back to him for the companion's quest. Volcus's sword. Okay, so there's in the companion quest line, you have to take Volcus's sword to get sharpened for him after joining the companions, and he gives you his sword, which has like 2 extra damage from like regular steel swords. So I just kept that sword for like my first playthrough. I just kept that sword for a very long time and just used it as my weapon. And I'm like, and eventually I think, you know, I found better swords. And I was like, well, you can have this back, Lucas. It's a bit more worn than you probably remember it being. I didn't use it to fight Daedra. I'm just kidding. Like, it had like 14 damage.
I was so stupid the first time I was playing Skyrim because it was like,
why
would I use a different sword? I could just upgrade my steel sword and then it's just as powerful. And not realizing that like, if you upgrade those other weapons, they'll be even more powerful.
Yeah.
I basically kept steel equipment until I got to Daedric equipment the first time I played. On the PS3.
Oh my god, dude. When I was playing Skyrim for the first time on the PS3, every time I would get to level 30, the game would just stop working.
I actually never experienced that.
Yeah, no, every time I got to level 30, the game would stop working. Just completely stop working. And that's what stopped me from ever platinuming it on the PS3. Interestingly enough, the only game that I've ever come that close to platinuming on PS3 is Mass Effect.
I think maybe the reason why my copy of Skyrim didn't like
It shit itself
is because I only ever kept one save file. So I didn't have like a bunch of different like saves and everything. It was just that main one.
Oh.
So the game didn't like...
Man, you playing it risky.
Whatever.
Get in that infinite death loop.
Oh, there have been so many games where I only keep the one main save file. The only games I've broken that trend on was Baldur's Gate 3.
You are clearly not like me.
No, I'm not. I have one file that's a save file, and I do that one. I do not do a new save every single time I save.
I currently have 72 save files on Dragon Age Veilguard. The game allows 100.
Well, that thing about Veilguard, you don't have to do that anymore because like there's a bunch of autosaves.
There's a bunch of autosaves.
So it's like you don't necessarily need to make manual saves, like a bunch of different manual saves.
Well, I don't.
Now, sometimes I will do manual saves, like this specific story beat, I want to have a save for this. But like that's because of that.
So
it's
what
not
happens
because
if you get trapped in an infinite death loop? You just restart?
I mean, that's never really been an issue for me.
You've never been trapped in an infinite death loop
Like
in Skyrim.
Well, you also have autosaves. So, like, there was one time where I fast traveled to the closest location to where I was going, and then had to run, and then came across an Elder Dragon, and I was losing, so I saved, and then I happened to save just before it killed me.
Yeah.
And so I kept dying every time I loaded into the game, so I had to like pause and then had to go back to a previous autosave, which was before I fast traveled, and had to do that all over again. But whether or not I had multiple saves, that wouldn't have prevented that from happening. So the autosaves did it.
I guess. I can't do it. I'm like, oh man, I need to go back. Where's that save from 3 hours ago? Because autosaves will eliminate themselves after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, but I don't need to worry about having an autosave from 13 hours ago.
Yeah, I do. I worry about that all the time.
In most games I play, that's not an issue.
Yeah.
Like, again, Baldur's Gate 3 is the one...
You're clearly just not a warrior like I am.
No, clearly I don't make as many bad decisions as you do.
This is already established information, sir.
Like Saints Row, I've always loved it for the writing, for the storytelling.
Yeah, that was the best part about it.
That was the best part about it, as it decided, like, I'm going to have an identity.
Exactly. You know, and that's why, again, I state, the remake, the reboot, it's
It's
maintains.
It's what I wanted.
It is exactly what I wanted.
Would I have complained if the gameplay was better? No.
But I have complained if it was a little bit longer?
No.
No.
It gave me what I wanted. But I ended up wanting more, but that does not discredit what I liked about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you wanting more is a good thing about it.
Yeah.
It's like it's a good thing. I wanted
DLC,
more.
sequels.
But fucking everyone was hating on it for no reason. I think it was literally just it's the Andromeda effect. I think it's the Andromeda effect. You know, it's like people like fucking hating on Andromeda. The initial complaints, like yes, the initial complaints of Saints Row 1, of the Saints Row reboot. It did have some technical issues. But they fixed those, you know? And it's the same thing with Andromeda. Andromeda had some technical issues. They fixed it, right? And then people were complaining, like, oh, you know, we were fighting to save the entire galaxy in Mass Effect, and now we're just finding homes for people. It's like, guys, they cannot just replicate the consequences in Mass Effect 3 because that was a galaxy-ending scenario.
Yeah.
You cannot get much higher than that.
You have to reset back to a point. That's why people like hate like when My Hero Academia, everyone's like, oh my god, we just did this really, really intense and threatening, like with like Overdriver, whatever. I don't know. It was the Yakuza gang.
I don't
and
know.
And then the very next arc, it was a low-stakes school festival. And everyone's like, what the fuck is this? Like, guys, we just got out of a really heavy, really dark, really sad arc. I, for one, was very happy to get a little quaint little storyline with very low stakes. Gave me a second to breathe, motherfuckers! I don't know what it is with these people where it's like, no, everything has to escalate, has to escalate, has to escalate, has to escalate, has to escalate.
Like, you can only escalate so far.
Do that.
Like, from the first game, we knew that the threat in Mass Effect was going to be a galaxy level threat. Not everything has to be a galaxy. You can tell a different story in the same universe without it being a galaxy level threat.
I mean, the thing about it was, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, it was the same galaxy level threat. It was the Reapers. It was just the first game, we stalled them. The second game, we stalled them. And the third game, they're here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, guys, and let Andromeda tell its own story. It's like, okay, there's a serious issue here. They don't have fucking planets for these people to live on. They're in ships with limited resources. So your job is to go out and fight, and there is an enemy race here that you are having to fight against. Like, why can't this be, like, this is enough. It's only the first game. It is only meant to build you up into what the story is going to be. And yes, it's not a galaxy-ending threat, but it doesn't need to be a galaxy-ending threat. Have you seen other BioWare games? They're usually not.
Well, hit or miss.
I mean, Dragon Age Inquisition is more of like a country-ending threat.
I mean, yeah, but like, still the whole thing where
sometimes a world-ending threat.
I mean, like the Blight.
Did you know the Blight would only go throughout Thetis, nowhere else?
I doubt that, but
no, it wouldn't.
But like, Origins was them preventing the Blight from wiping out Thetis, and then you had 2, which was basically a branching storyline for the 10 years that they would need, and then it was setting up a Mage and Templar war, which was a multi-country spanning war. It was a conflict because there are Templars and Mages everywhere.
Yes, exactly.
And then you had Inquisition, which was dealing with Corypheus and trying to stop him from becoming a god and ruling over all of Thetis. World-ending threat.
Yes.
Then you had the Veilguard, which is very similar.
World-ending threat.
It's very similar.
Yeah, and that's my thing. It's like people complain about these kinds of things where it's like in Saints Row, it's like, oh, you cannot escalate farther from the world is destroyed.
And now I am God King Emperor.
And now I am God King Emperor. Like, you cannot escalate that. You have to reboot the series.
I mean, like, literally, Gat Out of Hell took it the only step further it could have been. Heaven and Hell.
Yeah, literally.
It was like, all right, we conquered Hell, and Satan threw us out from Hell. Now I'm back to being God King Emperor of Space, and now God owes Johnny Gat a favor.
Yeah, exactly. You cannot get higher than this.
I mean, the whole thing about it, what they could have done is continue that storyline where it's like one of the, because like there's multiple endings in Gat Out of Hell you choose. One of the endings is, oh, a new Earth for the human race. Oh, but it's like you'd have to conquer it from another people who are the most violent and whatever. And Johnny was like, bitchin'. He knew exactly what I wanted. And another ending is, the timeline reset, Earth is back, but things are different now because it's a new timeline.
Which is exactly the way that me and Aaron see it. It's like, okay, this reboot is the new timeline that ending.
You could
Saints
argue
Row
with
Get Out of Hell.
Agents of Mayhem, and like that was because like Johnny Gat and I think Pierce are in that, and blah, 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 blah. But like, that's my assumption, is that the new Saints Row is just the rebooted timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, literally, the brand was like, we will be called the Saints, and it's a symbol on the ground. It's like, very clearly the Saints had never existed prior to this. You're not in Stillwater, you're in whatever the fuck it's called. I don't remember what the city's called, because there's Stillwater in the first two games, there's Steelport in the second games, the third and fourth game, then you have Hell. And then you have whatever it's called.
Yeah, I have lost something.
But things, like,
Some Spanish name.
Yeah. I really liked the reboot. It's not even a reboot. It just. Well, I guess it was, but it was telling a new story in the same universe, but it had to establish a storyline. Who knows? Maybe in later games we could have gotten like legacy characters coming back and all these things, but we'll never know because people never gave it a shot. And yes, like I said earlier in the podcast, it played like a PS3 game. I'm not going to argue with you on that. It did. You are correct. I don't think it played poorly, though. I liked the gameplay as it existed.
Yeah, like, all of the complaints that I'm seeing against it, like, even the GameRanks complaints, I'm just like, none of these complaints, in my opinion, are valid enough against the game being good. You know what I mean? It's like you said, it plays like a PS3 game. But it was meant to.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like it was meant to play like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so where's the problem?
I mean, not every studio is going to be able to come up with the most cutting-edge graphics, gameplay, pushing everything forward. Sometimes you just have developers that just make
sometimes I just want to buy a $60 Avatar: The Last Airbender game that looks like it's a PS2 game on the PS4. You remember when that dropped? That shit was so stupid.
I mean, there are bad games that come out, and one of the reasons they are bad is because it plays like old generation console stuff.
But that's because they're not meant to. They're trying to make something for modern consoles that's meant to play like a modern console game. But like whenever you're designing the game to play like a PS3 game, on a modern console. Mm-hmm. That was their point.
I mean, there are cheap games that kind of get shat out, and they weren't good, and they was rushed, or maybe the studio just didn't know what they were doing, and then like that's a learning experience. And unfortunately, video games are becoming so much more expensive to make that if you miss once, that could just be the end of everything.
That's why I agree with GameRanks on this specific matter of we need to see more of a focus in AA games instead of just AAA games, because AAA games, they've become very samey. And like they can't afford to take those risks. But AA games, you get a lot of games that's like, okay, you would never see this from a AAA studio because like they wouldn't take that kind of risk. Like this game that's coming out, as an example specifically, it's a game where you play as someone in Knights times, like ancient warfare, right? But you have you're a time traveler from the modern day. So you have all modern day equipment. So you're driving around fighting against horses and cavalry and tanks using rocket launchers and motorcycles and machine guns. Exactly. So it's like you would never get that out of a AAA studio because they would never take that risk. But you can do that as a AA studio. You can take the risk. You can get more fun games like that. And then it's like, and then AAA studios can see like, oh, these make profit. We can do stuff like this. And that's how you get new genres, new types of games with bigger budgets. As you start off with your AA studios making these games that pioneer the way for AAA studios to
steal.
Yes. Steal the concepts. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's the thing. It's like what people complain about Nintendo and the fact that it was like all their games keep using constantly.
Nintendo's the exception to that rule.
Old thing, because their whole thing about keeping their games cheap and about like keeping their legacy alive. It's like, yeah, sometimes they just shit out a game.
Yeah.
But like other times it's like, oh, this new mainline Mario game. We were excited for that, even though this could have come out 5 years ago, And if it had come out 5 years ago, it would have been on the cutting edge. But it's not, because it's old technology.
Yeah.
But they put time and quality into, usually.
Usually.
They make bad games. They make bad games. But when they hit, and sometimes it's literally just because, like, with, like, Scarlet and Violet that came out, like, the game has a ton of technical issues with it. I didn't experience any game-breaking ones personally, but that's a personal experience.
Yeah, me neither.
I still enjoyed Scarlet and Violet. I agree with the sentiment of it should not have been this bad.
Well, the biggest complaints that I hear is people being like, "Oh, look at Breath of the Wild. It looks so much better. It's made on the same console." I'm like, yeah, Breath of the Wild had, like, what, a 6-year?
Well, it was going to come out on the Wii U, and then they decided to delay it so it could come out on the Switch.
Yeah, they had, like, several years to make that game. You know how long they had to make Scarlet and Violet? Like, a year and a half.
At most, they get 3 years.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, they release one game a year. Maybe it's not mainline series necessarily, but they release one game a year.
And I hate to tell people this, there's a lot more assets in a Pokemon game than there is in a Zelda game. A lot more. They've got to account for, like, I think it's like what, like, I think in that Dex it was like 600 different Pokemon being on screen at any given time, because it's open world. It is always open world. Like Sword and Shield, they had a bit less of excuses
because they only had the one open area.
But like Scarlet and Violet, like that shit, and especially for Game Freak, who are not the best of programmers, let's be honest here, like that's a freaking masterclass right there.
Not to mention the fact that people forget, like in Breath of the Wild, would oftentimes like the more high fidelity areas, like have like if you go to Kakariko Forest, the game kind of be like it struggles because it's on old technology.
Exactly.
But Pokemon did what I wanted it to do. Now, would I complain if it ran perfectly smooth 60 frames per second? No, I would love that. And again, I personally didn't experience any game-breaking.
It will never again.
Glitches.
Yeah.
Game-breaking glitches. But it did.
Even on fucking emulators, it can't run at that speed.
It did what I wanted it to do. Now, do I want them to push the boundaries of gaming? Yes, but the problem is, not everyone can push the boundaries of gaming because sometimes the boundary is there because it's bad.
Yes, exactly.
And you don't know that unless you do it, but sometimes you do know that even if you don't do it.
Exactly. But,
So, like, Game Freak pushing the limits of what Pokemon can do, that's a pretty valid request, in my opinion. Why were people expecting Volition to, like, kick in the door and, like, have, like, a never-before-seen experience? Like, even comparing it to, like, GTA 5, which came out way before it, like...
It's never going to be GTA 5. They don't have the budget to make a Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, it's like they had a decently sized open world. They had the game mechanics. They had driving. They had shooting. They had the wingsuits.
Which was fun.
It was fun. And, like, yeah, I wanted more out of the game, but I still enjoyed the game. I don't regret my purchase of it.
Exactly. But, all in all, I think the Saints Row series has had a lot.
Unfortunately, it's dead.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem that we have with it now is that, Volition is shut down. And that's not even Volition's fault. It's not even that game's fault.
No.
It was that whole shit trying to sell to Saudi Arabia thing. You didn't hear about that?
No.
So the reason why Volition died is essentially there was this company that was like, they had this genius marketing idea. They're like, all right, we're going to buy a bunch of game companies and then we're just going to sell them to Saudi Arabia. And they'll buy them. And then they didn't. And so they shut down all of the game companies because they couldn't afford to keep them. And Volition was one of those companies. So Volition got shut down because of shitty business practices. That's what shut down Volition. Unfortunately, we'll never get another Saints Row. Not because... Now, don't get me wrong, we could still get another Saints Row, technically speaking, from a legal standpoint, because they could just sell the rights.
Somebody buy the rights.
Buy the rights to Saints Row.
Make a game, yeah.
Exactly. But they're not going to.
No.
Because people fucking hated so much on Saints Row reboot.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Yeah. Because the thing about it is like, in that style, there were so many things that you could do. Like, people like games that are funny in open world, you can do stuff. I don't know where they would have gone, But like people were really excited for that Rick and Morty game with like it's not Rick and Morty, but like the writers for Rick and Morty, that one game where it's like the guns that talks and stuff like that.
Oh, you're talking about High on Life.
Yeah, like people liked it because like it came out as bad or it had issues, but it's like they were interested in it because it wasn't like these other grim and serious games. It was like, oh, this one's gonna be kind of silly.
Yes, exactly. Just let it be silly.
Let it be silly. Like you have your serious games, and those are great for people who like them. But then you need alternatives like Saints Row to be like, okay, we're gonna be fun.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just gonna be fun.
I honestly do not know a fucking what's the word? Fluid? No, not fluid. Natural way to end this podcast.
I mean, that was why I was disappointed with Sunset Overdrive, because I literally thought it was gonna be like that Saints Row vibe, but it was just bad.
That's not what I just said.
It was bad. I know it's not what you said, but like that's.
You had to mention that.
Yeah, because I was really excited for it. Because I was like, I remember like Yahtzee from Zero Punctuation was like, oh, it's kind of like, you know, like teddy bear hand grenades, haha, Saints Row wackiness, but like they were trying way too hard with it, and the game was like way too railroady.
Isn't it made by Insomniac, the people who made Spider-Man?
I don't know.
It is.
Is it?
Wait. This is the beautiful part about recording where all my games are. Sunset Overdrive. Insomniac Games. It's made by the people who made Spider-Man.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. That is hilarious. But anyways, I think that's where we're gonna cut it off for today. I mean, we talked for quite a while.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I was kind of worried there at the beginning. I was like, I am running out of shit to say here.
I mean, I wasn't. You're kind of deviating from the plot, so.
Well, deviating from the plot is like my whole thing.
Even though it's not, like in games, you often like, do all the plot and then do the side quest later.
You're the opposite.
Exactly.
Anyways, I think that's gonna do us for today. We actually have to eat because we haven't eaten yet today.
Yeah, we were gonna eat it before this, and then we realized none of our dishes were clean, so we had to run them in the dishwasher.
Yeah, that is absolutely brilliant.
Everyone loves being an adult. Oh wait, that's not true.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do us for today. This is gonna go up.
Who knows?
At some point. And then you're gonna get some stuff.
We have a plan. We'll see if that sticks.
Yeah, we have a plan. See what happens. And until next time, guys.
Either happy early, mid, or late holidays.
Yeah. Happy thanks, Miss to
Ramadan.
Ween. We're already past Halloween.
We already posted a video for Halloween.
Yeah. Happy Thanksmas.
Happy Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's,
Valentine's Day.
Sometime, if this doesn't come out within range of one of those, something is very wrong.
Until next time, guys, I have been Coding.
I have been Aaron.
Bye.
Goodbye.